I was born on Tuesday, the 10th of September, 1861 in Versailles, Kentucky. I was given the name John the Baptist Stradford, JB for short, the son of Julius Caesar, not the Roman. My father, he was a few shades darker, but more than lived up to his name's renown. My father was enslaved and never given a last name, though his owner's daughter befriended him and taught him to read. In 1863, J.C. read about the Emancipation Proclamation and petitioned his owner for freedom for himself and his new family. Denied, my father forged a travel permission slip, signing his owner's name and escaped to Stratford, Ontario. Changing one letter of the city's name, he adopted the surname Stradford. Worked to earn enough money to return to Kentucky and secured the legal documents to declare his family free. His firstborn, I passed along this story, our story, and its lessons to my family. I was determined to educate myself and be the same kind of advocate my father was for my family and others. I enrolled at Oberlin College and met the most beautiful and brilliant woman I would ever meet in my life. Her name was Augusta, and she would be my wife. We were the first Black students to be admitted and graduate from the school. I went on to get my law degree at 38 and began practicing in Indianapolis. I also launched my first hotel venture, which was a total failure, but I was undeterred. And when I heard of a rapidly growing all-Black town springing up in what was then called the Indian Territory, I knew my next move. Upon my arrival in Greenwood, I was shocked at the sheer number of Black landowners and homesteaders, many of them freed by the Creek Indian Treaty. I also met one OG Gurley and struck up an informal business partnership. We invested in land and built rental homes and sold them to other Black entrepreneurs. Black dollars circulated in abundance, and there was nowhere to spend them with dignity in white establishments. We provided that space. Over the next 18 years, and with the collective efforts of Greenwood's Black residents, I amassed a sizable fortune. A home worth $125,000, the Stratford Hotel $50,000, and some 24 rental houses, rooming houses, a 16-room apartment building, pool halls, shoe shine parlors, and bath houses earned for me an income of what would today be $8,500 a month. When the hotel opened on June 1st, 1918, it was the largest Black-owned and operated hotel in America. The hotel was the pinnacle of my dreams. The Stratford would be a monument to the thrift, energy, and business tact of the race in Tulsa, in Oklahoma, and the entire country. On August 4th, 1916, the city of Tulsa passed an ordinance stating that people of one race could not reside on any block where 3/4 or more of the residents were of another race. 2 days later, I held a protest with 600 Black residents in attendance. My son Cornelius and myself drafted a petition to the mayor of Tulsa saying that the ordinance would cast a stigma upon the colored race in the eyes of the world and sap the spirit of hope for justice before the law. Our plea fell on deaf ears. Mayor's office upheld the ordinance, and even when the Oklahoma Supreme Court invalidated it a year later, the law remained on the books, and housing segregation remained the law of the land in Tulsa until 1963. As an attorney, I would sometimes defend Greenwood residents through legal means to address their issues, but sometimes other means were necessary. When white mobs gathered for whatever reason to exact their twisted form of justice, we countered by gathering a group of armed Black Army veterans to outnumber the lynch mob. I became ever more adamant about stopping lynching and holding the police accountable for their crimes. I also went to the local media, penning an article in Greenwood's Black newspaper, the Tulsa Star. A slogan began being repeated in Greenwood's Dreamland Theater during their vaudeville shows. Don't let a white man run you over, but fight. That slogan would be tested. On the morning of May 31st, 1921, Dick Rowland, a young Black shoe shine, was arrested on allegations of assaulting a young white woman. An incendiary article was published in the Tulsa Tribune calling for vigilante justice. The news began to circulate in the Greenwood community, and I had no confidence the police would do anything to protect a 19-year-old boy from being lynched. We convened a meeting at Tulsa Star's office that evening and encouraged others to keep making trips to the courthouse throughout the night. The white mob was turned back from the courthouse but began attacking Greenwood. I rushed to try to save my hotel. Machine fire shattered the windows, and it seemed as if fire rained from the sky. We stayed and we fought through the night. And by morning, the National Guard arrived to evacuate the neighborhood. They negotiated with those of us who had remained in the hotel, telling us the building would not be further damaged if we just surrendered and agreed to evacuate to the convention hall. We agreed, though the National Guard confiscated $2,000 of my money and the Stradford hotel was burned to the ground. On June 6, I became the first person formally charged with inciting a riot. The penalty was life in prison or death. King Herod wanted John the Baptist's head on a platter. I stuffed $500 of cash in my pocket and hopped the first train to Independence, Kansas. Shortly after arriving at my brother's house in Independence, the local police, at the request of Tulsa authorities, paid me a visit. Asked if I would turn myself in, I replied, hell no. Nonetheless, I was arrested, booked, and told to stay put and appear in court on June 10th. Instead, me and my son Cornelius headed for Chicago, ignoring the police's demands. Once there, we successfully fought extradition to Tulsa and began reconstructing what was the memory of a dream. Building a candy store, barbershop, and a small pool hall. I lost more than money in the Tulsa race massacre. I lost my sense of place in society. Maybe that's why I'm talking to y'all now. My physical form passed away in Chicago on December 22nd, 1935. But my story and struggle lived on. Family members, including my granddaughter, Jewel Stradford, fought to clear my name. And as evidence about the massacre began to come to light, it was clear that I was innocent. And almost 70 years after that bloody and fiery day, the charges against me were dropped.